Imagine buying a just a simple, beautifully polished pink rock to put on your living room shelf, right?
Yeah.
And discovering it comes with a literal warning label about messing with the fabric of human free will.
Yeah, that is definitely not your standard consumer advisory.
Hmm.
I mean, you really don't usually expect a piece of like home decor to come with metaphysical caution tape.
No, you really don't. But welcome to this deep dive. For you, the listener, whether you are, fascinated by the history of ancient symbols, or maybe you're exploring alternative wellness, or
Or you're just insanely curious.
exactly, just curious about the hidden psychological weight of the objects we bring into our homes. Because we have a wild mission today.
We really do.
We are exploring the multifaceted claims surrounding heart-shaped crystals, and our source material today is this fascinating text. It's called Resonance of Love, The Power of Heart-Shaped Crystals.
Yeah, and it's a text that takes something we so often just dismiss as this modern commercial hallmark invention, and it treats it as a highly potent piece of emotional and physical technology.
Emotional technology, I love that phrasing. We are going to look at everything from their ancient symbolic roots to their use in intensive spiritual rituals, all the way to some honestly very concrete, surprising claims about their physical healing properties.
Right, there's a lot to cover.
So, okay, let's unpack this. Because before we can understand what these crystals are claimed to actually do, we have to first explore why this specific geometric shape has maintained such a chokehold on human history. Like, where does this association with love and empathy actually start?
Well, it dates back much further than most people realize. The association with love stretches back to ancient times, long, long before it surged into mainstream popularity during the Middle Ages.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how the text synthesizes multiple disciplines, history, architecture, and spirituality, all around this one form.
Uh-huh.
In various spiritual traditions, healers and psychics refer to the heart chakra as the absolute emotional and spiritual core of our beings. They literally call it the seat of the soul.
The seat of the soul. I mean, now that is a massive title for a shape that, we just doodle in the margins of our notebooks during a boring meeting.
Exactly.
But the material had a detail about how other disciplines use this shape that I really didn't see coming. It mentioned that the term is actually used in architectural design.
Yes. Yeah, in architecture, the term is used to describe the form of an aperture.
An aperture.
Right. And an aperture is just a carefully designed gap or an opening in a structure that's specifically meant to let light in.
An opening for light. I mean, I love the parallel there. It's like architecture uses the shape to physically let light into a building, and spiritual traditions use the exact same shape to let emotional light into the seat of the soul.
Yeah, the underlying function across the board is receptivity.
Receptivity, right. It makes me think of the heart shape as a primal universal emoji.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Because, think about it, long before the digital age, before we had glowing screens to instantly beam a feeling to someone across the world, we had this shape. You didn't need to speak the same language, you just see the geometry, and it instantly communicates a complex emotional state.
It does, and it communicates different states depending on the cultural context, too.
Wait, really? Like what?
Well, the text points out that in some cultures, a heart-shaped stone doesn't just represent romance at all. It represents courage and determination.
Courage. That's so interesting.
Yeah, because humans have this deeply ingrained psychological need to take massive abstract concepts like courage or unconditional love and bind them to a physical object you can actually hold in your hand. An abstract feeling is fleeting, but a stone is permanent.
But I want to push back on the source material a bit here.
Okay, go for it.
Does the text suggest that the physical stone itself, the actual mineral, creates the feeling of love or courage? Or are we just dealing with, like, thousands of years of historical conditioning to this aperture shape?
Ah, I see what you're saying.
Like, are we just experiencing a psychological trigger, like Pavlov's dogs, but for romance?
Right, right. Well, that is the exact tension the text navigates.
Right.
It argues that it is an active interplay. We are undoubtedly conditioned to recognize the symbol, of course.
Right.
But the material leans heavily into the idea that the physical crystal, shaped in this specific geometric configuration, is not just a passive reminder. It actively alters our psychological and emotional state. It treats the object as having agency.
Okay, so we are crossing the bridge from a passive symbol to an active tool.
Exactly.
If it's a tool, how does it actually work? Because the claim that jumped off the page for me was that simply gazing at these mesmerizing crystal hearts elevates happiness and increases endorphins.
Yeah, that's a big claim.
It claims it gives positive feelings to your mind and body, but how does gazing at a rock physically trigger an endorphin release?
The mechanism the text offers for this is based on the law of attraction and vibrational resonance. The premise is that the crystal operates on a constant, specific frequency of pure love and light. And because it holds this high vibration, the act of gazing at it draws matching energies into your own life.
Oh,
Yeah, it promotes enthusiasm, vigor, and a zest for life while actively dispelling states like bitterness, loneliness, and feelings of rejection.
let's break down that mechanism for a second, because law of attraction can sound a bit abstract to some people.
Fair enough.
If we look at this through the lens of psychology and neurology, gazing at a symmetrical, aesthetically pleasing object that society has deeply associated with love,
Hmm.
I mean, that is naturally going to trigger a response, right? Your brain is basically a pattern recognition machine.
Precisely. Yeah, when you focus intensely on a geometric shape that's tied to overwhelmingly positive historical associations, you are intentionally commanding your brain to access those specific neural pathways.
Right?
The healers and astrologers cited in the text explain that these objects serve to focus your chaotic thoughts and emotions directly into the center of your being.
I want to try an analogy to visualize this resonance idea.
Okay, let's hear it.
Think of a literal tuning fork.
Oh, yeah.
When you strike a tuning fork, it vibrates at one incredibly specific, unwavering frequency, let's say an A note. If you hold that vibrating fork near another instrument, like a guitar string, tuned to the same note, that string will start vibrating too.
Right. It forces harmony.
Exactly, it forces harmony. So is the text essentially claiming that this is what happens with our endorphins? Like the crystal is the tuning fork emitting pure love and light, and our brains and bodies are the instruments being forced into resonance.
That analogy perfectly captures the mechanics. But in this framework, it's less about forcing harmony and more about providing an overriding baseline for an exhausted system.
An exhausted system, okay.
Yeah, the text is careful to highlight that these crystals are highly popular, particularly among women, not just for romantic affection, but for self-love.
Right, self-love.
If you're feeling completely depleted, the source explicitly states the crystal can increase the lost fire of your heart.
Increasing the lost fire. Wow. That is a beautiful way to describe treating burnout.
It is, isn't it? It's really about personal resilience. The tuning fork isn't just making you play a specific tune, it's reestablishing your fundamental capacity to feel whole and centered.
So we have this working theory of emotional resonance, a tuning fork for the lost fire.
Right.
But, a theory is just a theory until someone actually puts it on their kitchen counter. How are people practically applying this? Because there seems to be a very heavy intentionality behind how these objects are used in daily life.
The practical applications detailed in the text reveal just how much psychological weight we put on these stones.
Mm-hmm.
The common uses are what you might expect at first. They're placed around the home as decor to cultivate an atmosphere of peace and love, or they're painted to make custom jewelry. They're heavily utilized as gifts for Valentine's Day, anniversaries, and birthdays.
But giving someone a highly resonant crystal is vastly different than just buying them, like a blender or a sweater.
Oh, totally. It is a completely different exchange. The material notes they are frequently given as engagement gifts to signify unity, and they're often engraved.
Engraved!
Yeah, not just with generic symbols, but customized to highlight an individual's specific life story or to commemorate major life events.
I love that concept. You are taking this universal emoji, the seed of the soul, and you are physically carving your personal history into it.
Exactly.
You are making a universal symbol highly specific to one human relationship. And the source claims that when a recipient gets a gift like this, they feel wrapped in understanding and unconditional love.
Right, because the object acts as a dense physical vessel for the giver's emotional state. It is literally an intentional transfer of energy.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh yeah, the warning label.
Because intent is a double-edged sword. If you hand someone an object this emotionally loaded, and the intention isn't just to say, I love you, but to actively alter how they feel about you, well, we arrive at that warning label I mentioned at the very start of the deep dive.
We do. And the text gets very specific about pink heart stones here. It notes they are commonly used for love spells.
Love spells.
Yes. And it includes an explicit, unambiguous caveat for the reader.
What exactly are they warning against, though? Like, what happens if you misuse a pink rock?
The text warns that a love spell is fundamentally an emotional spell, and it can have unintended consequences if not done properly.
unintended consequences.
Yeah, it's a fascinating inclusion because it openly acknowledges that human will and emotion are highly volatile variables.
It is wild to think about a polished pink crystal coming with an advisory about human free will.
It really is.
But let's look at this psychologically for a second. Based on everything we just discussed about finding inner peace, focusing your own thoughts, and generating self-love, couldn't an unintended consequence simply be the psychological fallout of trying to force a connection?
This raises an important question about the line between internal growth and external control. The text frames the warning in metaphysical terms, of course. But psychologically speaking, hyperfixating on forcing a relationship through any kind of ritual, whether you call it a spell or just an obsession, is absolutely going to cause massive internal distress.
Right, because if you are taking your emotional tuning fork and essentially banging it against someone else's instrument, trying to force them to play your song instead of nurturing a natural harmony, you are going to get some terrible feedback.
Exactly. You end up clouding the exact intuition and inner peace that the crystal is supposed to help you cultivate in the first place.
It becomes a counterproductive loop.
It really does. The tool designed for receptivity becomes a tool for imposition, and the whole system just breaks down.
And, if an emotional imbalance or a hyperfixation has the psychological weight to cause that much internal distress, it is not a huge leap to see how that mental state bleeds directly into the physical body. Which brings us to the sharpest turn in the material.
Right, the transition into physical healing properties.
Yes, because if you are listening to this and rolling your eyes at the idea of a decorative rock doing anything beyond sitting pretty on a shelf, stick with us.
Yeah, hold on.
Because the source moves entirely past the metaphysical seat of the soul concepts and makes highly specific, concrete claims about treating the physical human body.
It does. It claims these crystals are actively used in crystal healing and traditional Chinese medicine to strengthen the blood and keep the body's energy alive.
Wow.
And it gets incredibly specific. They are used to treat heart palpitations.
Heart palpitations. I mean, we aren't talking about improving vibes anymore. We are talking about addressing the literal irregular beating of a cardiovascular organ.
Yeah, a physical symptom.
How does the text connect a carved stone to a physical heartbeat?
It traces the symptom back to two underlying causes within this medical framework: a blood deficiency and a qi deficiency.
Okay.
Right, qi being the vital life force or systemic energy flow in the body. The underlying philosophy is that the powerful vibration of the heart shape instills serenity to the nerves, which in turn physically calms the erratic beating of the organ.
So it is treating the nervous system to treat the physical heart.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it makes perfect sense why the text goes in this direction. Ancient systems like traditional Chinese medicine do not draw a hard Western line between a feeling and a physical organ.
Right, right.
Your emotional state, the heart chakra, and your physical state, your blood and your qi, they are not separate, isolated systems. They are a single continuous loop.
So if the emotional center is frantic or depleted, the physical organ manifests that exact imbalance as an irregular beat.
Exactly. It is a completely holistic, systemic view of the human body. The text does include a massive caveat, however.
Oh, good.
Yeah, stating that these crystals should be used along with medical care. It is not advocating that you replace your doctor with a crystal.
Okay, that's an important distinction.
Very. But it claims that when used in tandem with medical treatment, your body and physical ailments will heal fast because the vibrations of your body and the crystal align.
Okay, let's bring back our audio analogies. I want to pitch you the noise-canceling headphones idea.
Let's hear it.
So when you wear noise-canceling headphones on a loud airplane, they don't just block sound with thick foam. They have a microphone that listens to the chaotic, irregular noise of the engine. Then the headphones emit a very specific opposite frequency that perfectly aligns with that incoming noise.
Right.
And when those two frequencies meet, they cancel each other out, creating silence. They create serenity. Is the text suggesting that these crystals act like noise-canceling headphones for your vital organs? Like emitting a frequency to smooth out the chaotic noise of qi deficiency?
That is a really great visual, but in the context of qi and vibrational medicine, it's less about canceling the erratic noise and more about overriding it through entrainment.
Entrainment, okay.
Yeah, it's not muting the bad energy. It's introducing a frequency of serenity so steady and so ancient that the chaotic nervous system has no choice but to match its rhythm.
Oh, I see.
The crystal acts as an unmoving metronome for a system that has lost its timing. The physical treatment from a doctor addresses the mechanical issue, while the crystal provides the energetic baseline.
An unmoving metronome. That makes so much sense when you realize how chaotic and overstimulating our baseline environments usually are.
Definitely.
I mean, from an architectural aperture letting in light, to a tuning fork for romantic unity, to an unmoving metronome for an irregular heartbeat, that is quite a resume for a single geometric shape.
It really is. It highlights how deeply intertwined our physical bodies, our emotional states, and our symbolic languages actually are. We try to separate them, but they're constantly speaking to one another.
So what does this all mean? We started by looking at a shape we doodle in margins and slap on greeting cards. But for you, the listener, the picture is a lot more complex now.
Much more complex.
Whether you are actively prepping for a spiritual ritual, you are deeply invested in the holistic loops of Chinese medicine, or you are a total skeptic who is just fascinated by human behavior, you can now see the profound grip the simple geometry has on our psychology.
Absolutely.
We use these carved stones as apertures to let in emotional light. We engrave them to anchor our individual life stories. We use them to try and chase away loneliness. And within certain framework, they are literal tools used alongside medical care to override the chaotic noise of a physical body out of balance. The heart shape is doing a massive amount of heavy lifting in the human experience.
It is a remarkable piece of human technology, built entirely out of symbolism and resonance. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Let's hear it.
The text we explored today argues that the specific physical shape of an object changes its resonance, effectively acting as an anchor that aligns our physical and emotional frequencies. If we accept the premise that a shape, just the geometry of a thing, can influence our internal state to that degree, what other everyday shapes in our homes, our architecture, or our environments are quietly radiating specific frequencies?
Oh, wow.
Like how might the sharp, harsh angles of a modern office or the smooth, sweeping archways of a historic building be subtly steering our subconscious minds and our emotional health without us even realizing it?
It makes you rethink the entire physical world you interact with every single day. We often look for pure, measurable utility in our tools, things with clean logic and instruction manuals. But perhaps the most powerful objects we bring into our lives are the ones that bypass our logic entirely and speak directly to the seat of the soul. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.